First leg, today I'm going to teach one lesson from the NCERT Class 9 textbook Beehive. And the name of the lesson that I'm going to teach is chapter number 6, My Childhood. Now, since this is a pre-recorded lesson during this lockdown, it will be different from the regular teaching. Nevertheless, I will try to explain this chapter by explaining the paragraphs one by one. So without further delay, let us jump on to the lesson.
So, first of all, if you look at all the prose lessons in your English textbook, you will see that there are different sections. And the first section is always the section which says, before you read, under which you come across different questions, activities, discussions, etc. So this section is very important because this section will give you an idea about what the lesson is all about. So please spend some time on this section, and the remaining sections will come only after completing the lesson. Now let us look at our present lesson, that is my childhood. Let us look at one of the questions in before you read section, and the question says, can you think of any scientists who have also been statesmen? Now here, statesman is a person who is a respected leader. So, do you know any person who is both a scientist and a statesman? You can now discuss with your parents, friends, and siblings in English just for the sake of spoken exercise. Okay, so you will say Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam because he was a scientist and also the 11th President of India. Now you got some idea that the lesson My Childhood is about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Yes, you are right. This lesson is in fact taken from Dr. Abdul Kalam's famous autobiography titled Wings of Fire. And I'm sure some of you have already read this autobiography. And if you have not read it yet, you can always download this book free of course from the internet. Well, of course, if you are interested. Now, without taking much time, let us read the lesson. Okay, now for the sake of better understanding, I've divided this lesson into 7 parts. The first part is para number 1 and 2, where he talks about his birthplace and his parents. Second part is para number 3, where Dr. Kalam talks about World War II and how he was able to earn some money by himself at such a young age. And third part is para number 4, where he talks about his inherited characteristic from his father and mother, and here he also talks about his 3 friends. Now fourth part is para number 5, where he talks about his family participating in Hindu ceremony, although they were Muslims. Fifth part is para number 6 and 7, where Dr. Kalam talks about one incident from his school. Sixth part is para number 8 and 9, where he talks about his science teacher, Mr. Iyer. And the last part is para number 10 and 11, where he talks about his seeking permission from his father to go to district school for his further studies. Now chapter number 1. I want you to read this paragraph. Okay, as I've already told you, this paragraph talks about his birthplace and his parents. Dr. Abdul Kalam was born in 1931 in Rameshwaram in erstwhile Madras. Here, erstwhile means former Madras. Nowadays, that state is called Tamil Nadu. His father's name was Jalaluddin. His father's name was Jalaluddin, and his mother's name was Ashiana. You know, they both were very generous and kind, and he said that they were more outsiders than their family members whom his mother fed every day. Now here, you just think about your own birthplace and your parents. Try to remember your birthplace and your parents. You can do this as an exercise, okay? Okay, I want you to read this paragraph. This paragraph also talks about his family. Dr. Kalam was the youngest child. He had 3 brothers and 1 sister. Dr. Kalam's parents were tall and handsome, but he was short and had undistinguished looks. So undistinguished means ordinary. So he had an ordinary looks. His father was a very simple man, and he used to avoid all unnecessary comforts and luxuries. Yet he was very strict. Austere means simple and strict. His father was very simple and strict. His parents provided all the necessities like food, medicine, and clothes. Dr. Kalam also said that he had a secure childhood. So secure means safe. He had a safe childhood. Okay, now after reading this paragraph, I want you to reflect upon your own life. How many siblings do you have? How was your father and mother? Do you also have a secure childhood? Please try to write this down as a writing exercise. Okay? This is para number 3. Here Dr. Kalam talks about the Second World War. Okay, so whenever you read a biography or autobiography, you not only learn about the person, but you will also know about some important events of the world. So here in our story, Abdul Kalam mentions about the World War II, which broke out in 1939. Okay? So you tell me, how old do you think he was at that time? Yes, he was just 8 years old. Despite that, he earned 1 anna every day. Now, anna, it's a currency used in British India, which is equivalent to 6 paisas, like this. Okay? So despite this young age, he was able to earn 1 anna every day. How? Well, during that time, there was a huge demand for tamarind seed. You know tamarind seed? You look at the picture down there. Okay? So he collected tamarind seeds and sold them to a provision store. So in this way, he earned 1 anna every day. And he also had a brother-in-law. What was his name? Yes, Jalaluddin, who used to tell him stories about the war. And later, Kalam used to trace these stories in the headlines in Dinamani. And Dinamani is the name of a daily Tamil newspaper. Okay? Well, now after reading this paragraph, I want you to think about the important events when you were very small. Or did you ever earn some money by yourself when you were small? Well, just think over this and write few lines in your notebook as an exercise, okay? So this is para number 3. Now here, Dr. Kalam said that India joined Allied forces. So Allied forces means UK, USA and Russia. They were involved in the World War. And the state of emergency was declared, because of which the trains which used to stop at Rameshwaram station was not allowed to stop. So the newspapers had to be thrown from the moving train. Because of this, Kalam's cousin, Samsuddin, was looking for someone to help him catch the newspaper. So Dr. Kalam helped him, and that way he earned his first wages. So first wages means first salary. He was very proud of his earning. Okay, now you tell me, have you ever seen a small children working and earning wages? If yes, just write few lines as an exercise, okay? Now this is para number 4. If you remember, this paragraph talks about his inherited characteristic. Here he said that he had inherited honesty and self-discipline from his father, and from his mother he had inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness. Not only Kalam, but also his siblings had also acquired such characteristics from their parents. In this paragraph, Kalam also talks about his three friends. Do you remember the names? Okay, they were Ramananda, Aravindan, and Siva Prakasan. Although all his friends were from Orthodox Hindu Brahmin family, yet they had never felt any difference just because of their religious differences and upbringing, which was very good. Okay, now I want you to think about some of the characteristics you have inherited from your parents. Write them down, okay? And you can also write few lines about your friends. This is your exercise, okay? Now, para number 5 talks about how Dr. Kalam's family participated in Hindu ceremony. Okay, now how did they participate? Well, they participated by arranging boats with special platform for carrying idols of the Lord. So although they were Muslim, yet they participated. Not only that, Kalam's mother and grandmother also told their children bedtime stories of Ramayana and the life of Prophet. This way, Kalam's family did not differentiate any religion. Okay, now you tell me whether you had listened to bedtime stories or not. Please write few lines in your notebook. Okay, this is your exercise. Okay, this is para number 6, and here he talks about one incident from his school, Rameshwaran Elementary School. Now here he talks about his new teacher asking Kalam to go and sit in the back bench just because Kalam, who was a Muslim, was sitting next to Hindu priest's son. So Kalam went and sat in the last row without saying anything. Kalam was of course very sad, and his friend was also very sad. His friend also wept. Okay, so the image of his friends weeping left a lasting impression on Kalam. So that was the incident. So let us see what happens next. Okay, so when the boys went back to their homes, they told everything to their parents. Now Lakshmana Shastri, who was the father of Ramananda and the priest of the temple, called the new teacher. Someone means called. He told him that he should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. He also asked the teacher to either apologize or quit the school and the island. In the end, what happened? The new teacher regretted his behavior and he became reformed. He no longer made any difference on the basis of religion. Okay, so now you tell me, did you ever get punishment when you were small? If yes, please write few lines in your notebook. Okay, this is your assignment. Okay, now para number 8 talks about his science teacher. His science teacher's name was Siva Subramania Iyer. He was an Orthodox Brahmin and his wife was very conservative, which means very traditional. But Mr. Siva Subramaniam was a rebel. He did not believe in the social barriers. He wanted all the people to mingle freely. He was fond of Kalam and would spend hours with him. He wanted Kalam to develop so that he could go par with highly educated people of the big cities. So his science teacher encouraged him a lot. Now, do you have any person who encouraged you when you were small? Please write few lines, okay? Para number 9 talks about his science teacher. One day his science teacher invited Kalam to his home for a meal. His wife was surprised to see a Muslim boy invited in her kitchen, so she refused to serve him food in the kitchen. But his science teacher was not surprised of her behavior, nor was he angry. On the contrary, he served food to Kalam with his own hands. Not only that, Mr. Iyer invited Kalam for another meal, but Kalam was hesitant. Again, his science teacher encouraged Kalam by saying that if you decide to change the system, problems have to be confronted. Confronted means faced. Problems have to be faced. So, once again, Kalam went for dinner. But this time, Mr. Iyer's wife had totally changed. She took Kalam inside her kitchen and served him food with her own hands. Wow, what a change! Such was the power of a good husband. Okay? Okay, para number 10 and 11 talks about his seeking permission from his father to do his studies. So, Kalam told his father that he wanted to go to Ramanathapuram. He wanted to go to Ramanathapuram to study. The World War was over in 1945, and India got its independence in 1947. So let us see what his father said in the next paragraph. Did he give him permission to go? Okay. Okay, now this is the last paragraph. Let us see what his father said. So his father was very happy to know that Kalam wanted to go out to study. He said to Kalam that he must go away to grow, just like the seagulls who fly across the sun, leaving behind its nest. On the other hand, Kalam's mother was hesitant, so his father quoted few lines from Khalil Gibran's famous poem on children. He told her that children have their own thoughts and life's dreams, and they can't control them. So, Kalam finally got the permission to go to Ramanathapuram to do his studies.
So with this, we have come to the end of our prose lesson by childhood, which was based on the life story of Dr. Abdul Kalam. I'm sure you have learned so many good things from the life of this great person. You see, he was just an ordinary person like you and me, and he had become a scientist and the president of this country. So by taking lessons and inspiration from the life of this great person, you can also become a great person like him. And after finishing this lesson, I want you all to do some of the exercises of this lesson. And if you find any problem of any sort, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.